Hello, Eagles. There's a chill in the air as fall colors paint trees and leaves have dropped. Also, it's snowing. I'm Raina.
And I'm Claire. We have stories you can sink your teeth into, from social issues to burgers, all this week on your Eagles Perch.
Burgers are one of America's favorite foods. Now they are being made to look and taste exactly like meat, but are made out of soy or other grains and beans. Here is Mandy with a very possible story on Burger King's Impossible Burger.
Burger King recently added the Impossible Whopper to the menu, which is a vegan burger made from pea protein, and Burger King claims it tastes exactly like meat. I interviewed a couple of people to see if this was true.
I've tried the Impossible Burger, but not the Impossible Whopper. I'd say maybe 7.5. Probably 8 or 9. Probably the flavor. The textures taste a lot like meat. Yeah.
A 6. 5. The flavor makes it taste less like meat. Yes. Yes.
My name is Mandy Griffin, and this is Eagle News.
Fall is a great time for more scary movies to get our adrenaline pumping. Junior shares these recent movies with us.
Halloween is soon. Are you ready for some new scary movies? Here are some new horror movies coming out soon or already out. It Too, the sequel to the first movie. It just came out about a week ago, and it's based 40 years in the future, when the kids are all grown up and Pennywise comes back again. Second, we have Annabelle 3. If you're a fan of the first two, well, you're in luck. They're making a third one. Annabelle Comes Home, where Annabelle is the beacon of paranormal spirits inside the house. And last, we have The Joker, which just came out recently, is getting great reviews, but people think it's too violent and wants it taken out of theaters. This is Junior for Eagles Perch.
Yonder pouches are here and everyone is talking about them. There is even an Instagram account dedicated to the Yonder pouches at North. Now, Urania with more of the story.
The difference of making those connections with people, I think, has shifted in the classroom with the Yonder pouches in use. So the Yonder pouch is just kind of a little envelope, a fabric envelope that actually locks up, that students can put their phones into and lock them up for the duration of the class period. Yeah. And then unlock at the end before they leave.
I know that it's helpful, but sometimes I just get always frustrated that we always have to put them in them.
It was just very much so obvious, the difference of interaction even between students.
Because usually a lot of people get distracted by their phones.
New. However, if one of them breaks, if something happens to it, they replace it for free. You just send them back and they send us brand new ones. I have found them to be very helpful.
Racism is an ugly issue that separates people, stagnates society, and destroys lives. Paul faces the issues in this report.
Racism is one of the biggest topics in America. I went around to some of the Olathe North staff to get their take on how they feel about racism.
Do you think racism is affecting the economy in any way today?
Yes, I do, and how it's affecting it is that certain jobs are not available for certain people, and I think people of color especially. It might be the academic gap, the achievement gap in education is affected and impacted that way as far as the economics. There's not opportunity for some people regardless how high their education is. If the jobs are out there, if you qualify, everyone should be an opportunity to have those jobs. I think that based on some people's appearance, some people's culture, for instance, dreadlocks. You have dreadlocks, go into an interview for a high-paying job, they won't take you serious. Your name, if your name is an ethnic name, sometimes you will not even receive that interview. So I think that economically, those high-paying jobs are not afforded to some people, especially people of color.
I think it definitely does. I do feel like the economy is still set up against people of color. It's definitely it's very difficult and more difficult for people of color to obtain financial success as a person of non-color. Just certain things have been put in place that go all the way back to the Jim Crow era. That just makes it difficult, and the policymakers today haven't really addressed those issues. So.
I think it just depends on maybe the small businesses that are startups from certain demographics. I think if you have a restaurant that is predominantly in one language, Spanish or any other language, I think some folks may be hesitant to go to your restaurant, but some people may not be. So it just depends on the situation. I think it also depends on the community. Are they open to diversity and diverse business owners in their community?
How do you feel about the Sikh deputy who was shot and killed in Texas?
I feel bad for his family. First of all, we have lived in a country now, it's kind of us against them. It's a law enforcement against the people of society, specifically the people of color. And that comes two different fashions. First of all, police is not easy. And how it originated was actually they were slave catchers that turned into policing later. So policing actually protects property. So unfortunately, the rich are very protected and the poor are targeted at this point. Consequences are very high. So the situation that happened there in Texas is unfortunate because I think he was targeted based on the rhetoric sometimes our country actually lives by. What we think is nationalism actually is not, is racism. So this person's doing their job, had a family, and now they're no longer here, and they want to protect and serve the country they live in. So I think that they were really targeted. I think it's going to take police officers to actually call out bad cops at this point. There's no, it's not all cops are bad, but sometimes we sit by and allow those people to thrive. So policing, you got to start policing themselves. People got to start being held accountable for things they're doing. They can't keep shooting unarmed civilians and citizens and not having repercussions. And when the repercussions happen, you're 5 years, 10 years. There's a case in, I think, Ohio where the young man was being chased by a police dog. He ended up killing a dog. He got 45 years. The lady who's in Texas who entered the wrong apartment and shot the man dead got 10 years because she is law enforcement. So it's got to be equal across the board.
Tragic. Definitely a loss for the Sikh community and just the police community in general. Especially when you are trying to have diversity in your community. That's a big loss. Definitely, you want the police department to reflect the community that they're servicing. So, if you've got a population of the Sikh people, they've just lost a member of their community, not as well as personally, but also law enforcement. So, very tragic.
Oh, well, that's obviously a very sad thing that happened to that officer. Anytime any public servant, especially officers, get shot in the line of duty, that's a tragic event that affects many communities. It's very disheartening that a person like that who made the ultimate sacrifice to defend his community was shot. So it's a tragic event, and it's got to change some gun laws or something.
How do you think us as a country can improve this hate toward colored people?
It got to start in the schools. We require our kids to be in school from the age of 4 to 18. There's no better opportunity for us to teach them about themselves. Hate is ignorance. We don't know each other enough, nor do we teach it. We're having a conversation they call crucial when we talk about racism. People of color don't have any problem talking about racist issues or racism or even race itself. As people, unfortunately, the population of people of color teaching, unfortunately, is only about 4 to 5%. So you have 90-some% of people who refuse to talk about it. So the point I'm trying to make is we're teaching kids color. We're teaching kids how to read, how to write. We're not teaching them how to live with one another. So in order to combat racism, we got to start early and not be afraid to talk about it and not be afraid to talk about our history of our country. We keep repeating this. If you look at something 100 years ago, it's still happening today because we don't talk about it enough. So how we can combat it is talk about it, live through it, have some point in life that you actually have a solution for it. So that's my take on it.
All right. I think we have to start with educating I think a lot of times the hate towards people of color is learned from previous generations. People are being taught to hate someone because of the color of their skin. And if you've seen, I saw something a while back when you see two babies playing. There's a white baby and a black baby, and they're just playing just fine. But you take that same white baby and black baby and 10, 15 years from now, because of the different things they've been taught, they may not like each other. And that goes both ways. That goes for the community of color and the community of non-color. So it's definitely an education piece that has to go into that, starting with parents at home.
Well, as a country, the current, I guess, climate towards people of different ethnicities, color, religion, things like that. During the current climate, it is tough and it is heartening to kind of see that, during previous climates, political administration climates, we were very open to diversity and, acknowledging that we are a diverse country. This country was founded and made by immigrants, and immigrants still come to this country to this day. I think now it's not about hatred, it's a little bit more, in my opinion, and I can't speak for everyone, it's about the fear that certain things are happening when certain people come into your community. And I think that's what is right now in this current climate, what people are kind of having issues with and kind of having they're lashing out against people like that. I don't think entirely it's about hatred. I'm not going to say it's not about hatred, but I think there is a little bit of fear where you feel threatened where something new's coming in and people say, well, they're this or that, they do this, they do that, and I think probably just educating communities of people that some people are not like that would be kind of a way to kind of help currently the current climate that we're in with, hatred and, fear.
All right, back to how racism is affecting the economy. Was it difficult for you to get a job as a teacher?
Initially, no. I started coaching first, and I think that background led me into getting a job as a teacher. Initially, though, as a coach, I could get a job anywhere. But as a teacher, I noticed that certain school districts were not very open to, maybe giving me an interview. But some districts did. And when I got there, they were, it was wonderful districts. Here at North, I was very fortunate to get an interview and got the job. I think the times are changing where communities are asking for diverse teachers and teachers that look like the students. I think here at North, we have a very diverse demographic, and some kids want to see teachers that look like them. And the district as a whole is trying to work towards that. Some districts are still kind of doing it their way, and that's how they want to do it.
As you can see, racism is still a huge issue today. This is Paul from Eagle News, signing out.
It's playoff time. Our mighty Eagles are soaring to victories. Emery takes us to a more in-depth view of what goes on behind the scenes of Eagle football.
It's Eagle football season and we are here to win. Our football players have worked so hard so far, and a few of them want to tell us about their training schedule this season.
Weights in the morning and then practice for 3 hours after school.
Wake up in the morning, watch film for football, and then after school we have practice every day.
Preparation for big games and lucky items are what our players do.
I listen to certain songs.
Not really. I do have like a pair of lucky socks though.
Good friendships is important to our players.
I'm close to all of them, so pretty good.
I think it's really good because you can pretty much show them anything and they'll understand you.
Lastly, our Eagle football players tell us about their favorite team to play.
Probably Olathe South because it's a rival game and we always win.
Probably Olathe South because it's a big rivalry, and we usually always beat them, so it's fun.
Our players are still working hard out on that field and are ready to dominate. This is Eagle Sports News. Thank you.
I'm Raina.
And I'm Claire.
And this was your Eagles Perch.